My name is Alistair Lee, and in this video, I'm going to walk through some of the UI changes introduced in Adobe Connect 12.7. I'm in a brand new room here, and I can actually now see the name of my room in my Adobe Connect desktop application title bar, New Room on Monday. It's no longer the label of the meeting menu. It shows up in the title bar if you're using the desktop application, or in the tab if you're joining the room through a browser. The meeting menu now has a consistent icon across all of your different rooms and won't get cut off for rooms with longer names. You can see this hamburger menu can be used to open and close the meeting menu, which now also looks different. In fact, we've gone through every menu item, every option, every preference in Adobe Connect and simplified wherever possible. We've removed duplicates, we've standardized some of our terminology to work with the rest of the industry, and we have looked for opportunities to make the entire user experience more intuitive for a new user. One example here is the host and presenter area has now been renamed to Backstage. This is what we've been calling it for years. Now it's got that label. If I use the meeting menu, you'll notice some other options here. I can now copy the room URL directly from this menu rather than digging in to manage access and entry and having to invite a new user. You'll notice, by the way, since I hovered over this option for a couple of seconds, a new tooltip has appeared. And these are designed never to get in your way. They only appear after a couple of seconds, but to help you understand what each and every option in Adobe Connect does. Let's take a look at some of the preferences because those have also been redesigned in many cases as we're going through the different options. For example, you'll notice now in the video preferences, we've removed options like the ability to highlight the active speaker. This is something that we can do programmatically that the users shouldn't have to turn on and off themselves. And so we understand whether there's one person sharing their video, in which case we will not highlight the active speaker. And if there are multiple people sharing their videos, we can automatically highlight the active speaker. You'll notice we're now sharing the widescreen version by default, although you still have the option to change the aspect ratio to 4:3. And not displayed here in the preferences dialog, but we're also mirroring everybody's video by default now as well. That's something that's still really easy to turn on or off with a simple toggle on the video pod though. In the share pod preferences, you'll notice this looks a lot cleaner as well. We've removed the quality setting. We're always going to show great quality now when you're screen sharing. We felt it wasn't necessary to offer those lower quality options. And then redundant options like turning off the buffering for your MP4 videos have been removed. We always want your content to play back smoothly and look great, and there's no reason to have an option to turn that off. Let's click Done here to take a look at some of the other user interface changes, starting with the Pods menu. And when I open this up, we get the same pods that we've always had, but they are now categorized based on what they do. We've got pods to share content here at the top. We've got our interactive pods here at the bottom. And then pods where you can only have one instance of each, like attendees and video, are in the middle. So we've categorized them based on their functionality. And you'll notice new icons beside each pod, making them much easier to find. You no longer have to read through every label on this list to find the pod you're looking for. It's really simple and fast to see that chat pod icon to add a new chat pod to your stage. Let's move to the discussion layout because you'll notice some differences with all of the menu options as well. When I click on the options here for a notepad, again, we've categorized all of the functionality based on what gets used most often and what it does. So in this case, all of the design tools are at the top. We've got the tools to manage your notepad below that. And then consistently across every pod options menu, you'll see help and hide pod here at the bottom. The label for maximizing, which would always maximize the pod for everybody, has now been renamed to maximize for all, and that will also appear here at the bottom just above hide and help. The chat pod menu has similar reorganization, again, making the pod easier to use, a little more intuitive, and faster to find the options that you're looking for. Those are just some of the new changes with Adobe Connect 12.7. Thanks for your time.